Hello, welcome to the show. Welcome to Not Just Nintendo, a video game podcast that is about Nintendo. But it's not just Nintendo here at Not Just Nintendo, as we talk about other video game companies as well. And by we, I mean just me, because I am solo on this endeavor. Hello, everybody. Today, as of when you're seeing this, is May 14th, 2025. This is the 13th episode of Not Just Nintendo. How exciting. There's also 22 days until the Switch 2 launches, which is great. 22 days, that's just over 3 weeks. So we're slowly running out of, and not even slowly, we're pretty quickly running out of podcast episodes before the Switch 2 launches. I imagine this episode will once again be a little bit shorter. I know the episodes have been getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Well, I mean, actually, I don't know quite about that, but they've been shorter than they started out, and they're shorter than I was hoping to make them. But honestly, I'm in a bit of a weird spot with the podcast episodes. I've been very busy the last few weeks. Finally, things started to clear up this weekend. I may have mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned this at all, but I had a bunch of music-related stuff. I play both violin and orchestra and clarinet and band at school and outside of school. And I had a lot of stuff to do with that, and some of it's been taken off of the plate now. I've completed some of that stuff, but I've still got stuff in the works. So there's a lot going on, but it's definitely less than it was a week ago, right? So I'm definitely a little bit more open than I was a week ago, which is why, for regular viewers of the channel, you'll notice that I put out those two, I think we've had two so far, Super Mario RPG videos. I'm doing my new Let's Play of Super Mario RPG, and with the Super Mario RPG Let's Play, I'm trying to do the episodes a little bit less frequently, and I'm trying to make them a little bit shorter than, like, the Animal Crossing videos or, like, the Mario and Luigi Brothership videos. Because back when I did those games, I was putting out the episodes very frequently, and they were very long episodes. And the problem with that format is that, here's my theory, because it seemed like every time the episodes would come out less frequently, they would get more views. So honestly, it's not just about views, right? I mean, like, I'm not, like, okay, if I'm getting really good reception and good audience retention and stuff, but my views are a little bit lower, great. But all across the board, the stats and the analytics just seem to be lower when I uploaded more frequently and when I uploaded longer videos. And I think it's mostly, for the longer videos, I think people just don't have, people just don't want to spend that amount of time watching my videos, which I totally understand. Personally, you know, I can also be a little bit intimidated by, like, an hour video as opposed to, like, a half an hour video. So there's that one thing. And then the other big thing is that when I upload more frequently, that means that if anybody shows up, like, if anybody looks on the channel on a given day, right, that if they haven't checked in a while, they might just go watch the most recent video, right? But if they check in every few days, then, you know, if I am uploading every day, then they're going to miss they're going to miss like 2 out of every 3 videos, right? But if I upload every 3 days, then they're going to be there and they're going to probably watch every single one, you know, because I've uploaded less frequently. And so because I upload less frequently, I get more views. At least that's the theory, right? So, and I will say the first part of Super Mario RPG did do pretty well. To be fair, my first parts of all Let's Plays tend to do very well. That said, again, Super Mario RPG, you know, I haven't done a Let's Play in a long time, and the channel hasn't been very active in a long time. So there's a lot of different factors here. We can't just say one-to-one, like, hey, look, this new strategy is working. I don't know if this new strategy is working. If you have any feedback on this new strategy, then by all means, you can leave that. You can actually email the show. I guess I can plug this right now. You can email the show at notjustnintendo@gmail.com. That is NOTJUSTNINTENDO@gmail.com. You guys know how to spell Nintendo. Not just Nintendo at Gmail. Not just Nintendo at gmail.com. Man, I cannot talk. I think I'm just going a little bit too fast, so I should chill out. So, all right. With that said, The Super Mario RPG video, like I said, it's not formulaic. I can't be here and be like, oh look, the strategy worked, or oh look, the strategy didn't work. I can't just say that for sure. But it seems to be that it didn't completely fail. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I say from here on, but to be honest, it's not like I'm gonna do multiple Let's Plays at once. I'm just gonna do this one and then move on to the next one. And I mean, I don't know what the next one's gonna be. I don't know. I haven't thought about this stuff, but I just wanted to be back to making videos now that I've been a little bit less busy. And so that's what I'm doing. But the podcast is still going to suffer a little bit because even though I've been slightly less busy, I've still been fairly busy, and that extra time I've been putting right into making Mario RPG videos. And so it means that besides Super Mario RPG, I have not played anything in the last week. I think I might have played I don't know, maybe 15 minutes or so of Mario Kart 64. I did one more cup. I mean, that's really it. So it's been very little. A lot of music related stuff, a lot of YouTube stuff. I've been back to YouTube, so not a whole lot of that. I did start working on filing the Xbox games. I know I've been talking about this for over a month now, probably. Sorry, that was a terrible audio crack. But I've been talking about this for a while now, that I was going to file my Xbox games in my Google Slides, not Google Slides, Google Sheets document where I track my video game collection. I've been talking about how I was going to put it in there, and I never did, and I never did, and I never did. And I bring this up every week, and I'm like, I'm going to do it by next week. And then last week, I had a totally different strategy. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do it by next week. And so I figured that if I had said that I wasn't going to do it, then I might end up doing it. And that didn't work either because I still haven't done it. So, I mean, it is what it is, I suppose. I still haven't done the Xbox game filing. I'm not going to say that I'm going to do it in the next week because, again, I really don't know. In fact, I'd guess I probably won't, but I could. We'll see. I don't know. I will say I've been quite inspired lately. I want to make more Super Mario RPG videos. In fact, I might go record the third one when I get done with this podcast. Well, I don't know. It's a little late. I might do it in the morning, but I'm going to do that pretty soon. But I'm also kind of wanting to go back to Geoja Ninja. And I'm wanting to go back to Jinja, which is my Minecraft channel. It's the channel's called Jinja, but then my handle is Jinja MC because it's Minecraft. It's my Minecraft channel. So I'm actually kind of thinking of changing the name of the channel as well to Jinja MC or something, kind of make it a little bit more consistent. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not. We'll see. But my point is I kind of want to go back to those channels a little bit as well. And if you guys want to get updates on when my new videos come out and stuff across all channels, you can go to my Discord server. We have a community Discord server. The link for that is in the description. It's called the Ginger Ninjas Dojo. And in there, I occasionally will talk with viewers and stuff. There's not a whole lot of people in there, and that's why we need more people, right? But anyways, so if you would like to join that, you can go in there. You can get the ping for videos. And then you can get notified in there when there's a video across any channel. And the YouTube Shorts and stuff I don't put those in because I don't know, I don't want to waste people's time with the YouTube Shorts. But I put the actual videos in there. So if you want to go do that, it'd be great because then we could have more people chatting in the Discord, and also you could get updates and you could get information when I, post on other channels and stuff. Because that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping to kind of go back to that stuff. I'm going to try to see if I can juggle the podcast, right, once a week, Super Mario RPG once or twice, I would say probably a week, maybe 3 times, maybe just once, depending on the week, but I'm going to try to do twice, maybe 3 times a week. And then I want to see if I can do at least one video a week on Jinja. I'm kind of thinking I did for a little while there. I say for a little while. I did it for 1 week, and then I had the second week recorded. I just hadn't finished editing it, and then I forgot about it, and it was going to come out late, and I was like, I can't just have the second episode come out late. That was the survival game Saturdays. My plan was to play survival games on Hypixel every week on Saturdays, and I did it for 1 week, and then, like I said, the second week I forgot, and it was going to come out on Sunday, and I was like, well, that's dumb. I can't just miss the second one, and so I just never put it out altogether. So I only did the one episode of that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I might end up doing that again. I might do something similar to that. Or I might just ditch that idea altogether and do some sort of, single player thing. I don't know. So I'm kind of thinking of doing that, doing some Jinja stuff. And then as far as Geoja Ninja, I don't have any planned schedule for Geoja Ninja, because Geoja Ninja, I think most of the ideas I have for videos on Geoja Ninja are me playing Dummy Nation and just winning as another country. So I have attempted a few times a China run. On Dummy Nation, I have that video where I played as the United States and I won. I had done a couple attempts on the United States to try to win. I finally won, so I posted the video. So I'm just going down the list in terms of like power. So the second one is China. I have done a few attempts on China. I haven't won any. Actually, I think I did actually win one, and I didn't post it. I should try to win another one and see and post that one. So every time I play, which I don't play very often, but when I do play, I'll record that. And so if I do end up winning, then that'll be my video. It'll be the China run, right? And then I'll do India and I guess Russia is probably next. So I'll go down the list, right? See if I can get a victory with every country. I mean, obviously not every country, but the top 10 or 20 or something over the next year or something. I mean, I'm sure it'll take a long time. So I guess that's what I'm saying. Geoja Ninja, I do plan to go back to that, but I don't have like a specific schedule in mind. I may also try some different types of videos on Geoja Ninja. We'll see what happens. For those who don't know, Geoja Ninja is like my geography channel. I've been playing. I say Ben, and like I haven't done it in a while, but I did those couple Dummy Nation videos where I played Dummy Nation, or spectated. A couple of them were spectating as well. I did one game in Ages of Conflict instead, so I experimented around a little bit, but I might do some general mapping things as well. We'll see what happens. So I'm thinking about some things for Geoja Ninja. So that's all still up in the air. But yes, my plan is to do a few Super Mario RPG videos a week, plus the podcast, and then at least one video on Jinja, if possible. And then Geoja Ninja will just be another thing that, if I manage to do it, great. If I manage to get multiple videos in a week, great. And if it's only one, then fine. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. So I guess that's really all I have to say about that. I like to talk about the state of the channel on the podcast, because it's not like I don't think there's actually anybody that listens to the podcast who doesn't also watch my other videos. And if that is you, then watch my other videos. Right? Better do that. And actually, I guess before I move on, I just said I was going to do 2 or 3 Super Mario RPG videos, but I'm actually thinking I might do another video a week or some other thing. Like I might try to do, like I did that Mario video, right? I did the how Super Mario Brothers saved gaming, right? I might try to do more things of that style, like very short video essays. I don't imagine I'll do super long video essays. Maybe later on if I get more experience with video essays, but at the beginning I think I'd rather just do the short ones, because even that, like, what was it, like 9.5 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that, even that video, I mean, that took a solid 5 or 6 hours to edit. I mean, it was a lot of editing involved in that. And now, again, I'm not like the best at editing, so I'm sure it'll go faster in the future, but as it currently stands, I'm not the fastest editor around, so, that's kind of where I stand. So, like I said, hoping to do some other videos, but definitely keep going with the Let's Plays and stuff as well. So, I guess I will stop blabbering about that. Let's talk a little bit about news in gaming. So, in the last week, I'm checking the exact date, because I actually thought it was coming out, like, today, and I think it actually came out... Oh, no, it's coming out still. Okay, never mind. Okay, I'm totally wrong on this. It's coming out the day after you are seeing this. Doom: The Dark Ages is coming out. I know I've been hearing a lot about it, which is crazy. I've been hearing so much about it, even though the game's not out. So I think a lot of that's from reviewers who managed to play it early, and I think others of it is just from them giving out a bunch of information and showing a bunch of footage and stuff. But Doom: The Dark Ages is coming out tomorrow when you guys are hearing this, unless you're in the future, obviously. Hello, if you're from the future. But anyways, so Doom: The Dark Ages is coming out, and I plan to play Doom: The Dark Ages, but like not anytime soon. I'm still in the original Doom. I haven't even played that, and to be fair, I haven't gone back to the original Doom in a while. So I need to go back to that, and my plan is to play through that game. And I have like basically all the mainline Doom games besides the Dark Ages. So I guess for one more day I can say that I have all the mainline Doom games, and then I'll no longer have all the mainline Doom games. But I plan to play through all those games, and if I get there, then I will probably also play Doom: The Dark Ages. But who knows if that's going to happen? I mean, that's a lot of games where I could potentially fall off at some point along the line, and it's also going to take a long time to play. So I don't even know if that's going to be a this year thing or if that's going to be a next year or 2 years from now. Who knows, right? Like, I don't even know. Maybe I'll completely fall off the series and I'll come back in like 15 years and I'll play it. Like, I don't know. But my point is, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I want to play that game. So that's kind of where I stand on that. We'll see about that. Another game that I kind of want to play, Claire Obscure Expedition 33. I had heard about this game, although I had kept forgetting the name because, to be fair, Claire Obscure Expedition 33 doesn't quite roll off the tongue. Uh, I'm, I don't know if I'm the only person with that problem, but like I'm kind of thinking that's not the catchiest of titles. But this actually came out a few weeks ago, April 24th, apparently. Been out a few weeks, and I've been hearing quite a bit about it. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 is like a 3D turn-based RPG, so it's almost I've heard that in that way. I don't know about in other ways, but at least in that way, it's kind of similar to a Persona or a SMT. And of course, I played Persona 3 Reload this year, actually just last month. It was pretty recent, and I loved it. I thought it was great. So definitely sounds appealing to me on that front, but also, I mean, the game looks good, which I don't really tend to care about looks, but it does look good, and I've heard the story is fantastic, and it's a totally new studio, and there's a lot of, I guess there's a lot of great things, a lot of innovation, and just a lot of things. I've heard it's a great RPG. So it's weird because I heard about this game before it came out, and then I heard about it when it came out, like a little bit, right? But it just seems like the more time passes, like obviously the more time passes, the more people have played it. But it just seems like the buzz just keeps on growing. You know, like we're a few weeks from release, and it just keeps on getting more and more talked about. So Clear Obscure Expedition 33 is another thing that I'm gonna put on my radar. I don't know when I'm gonna play it, if I'm gonna play it, but it's definitely something I'm thinking about. I guess also in the line of JRPGs, Dragon Quest 12. I haven't heard about Dragon Quest 12 in a while. Dragon Quest 12: The Flames of Fate is what they're calling it. It was announced way back in 2021. There was no info or anything on it, but supposedly it is actually still in the works. I'm reading a GameSpot article right now. They say with the game now very likely to launch after the release of the Switch 2. Yeah, I would assume, right? Like, if it was going to launch before the Switch 2, surely we would have some details. But anyways, I mean, who knows, right? Yeah, Dragon Quest 12, you know, I don't know. Dragon Quest 12 isn't something that I'm, like, currently looking to play. Dragon Quest for me right now, the main thing are these Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remasters, which I don't actually know. Did we ever finally get info on when those were coming? I don't think we did. I'm look. Sorry, I'm looking. I hiccuped. No, we still don't have a release date. It just says this year. Which I mean, I don't know, man. We're in May. Like, I feel like I feel like at this point we should know the release date on most things for the year. And I understand there's a lot more than just Dragon Quest. That's a problem on this front. I mean, we don't know the release date for like Metroid Prime 4. I mean, a lot of these things we can kind of guess, right? But we don't know for sure on quite a few games that are coming out this year. We don't know release dates. And I feel like I don't know. If they announce something a year in advance, maybe we don't need a release date. But if they're announcing something 6 months or 9 months in advance, I feel like some sort of window at least, like a quarter or a month or something, is probably useful. But at the same time, I mean, I also do sometimes get a little bit frustrated when there's delays and stuff. So I can kind of understand why, maybe they don't want to set anything in stone and kind of, end up regretting it later. So I can kind of understand where they're coming from to a point, I suppose. But it does seem frustrating at times, I guess. Is I guess what I'm trying to get across. But yes, Dragon Quest 1 and 2, HD, 2D, whatever. I want to play those games at some point. I don't know. I'm assuming they're probably going to come out on Switch 2. Actually, you know what? No, they're confirmed. They are coming out on Switch 2. So I'll probably play them there, but who knows? Maybe I'll play them on PS5. I'll play them somewhere. I'm definitely going to play them. I don't know if I'm going to play them on launch, but I'm pretty convinced that I'm going to play them this year as long as they actually come out this year and it's not on like December 31st. So I'm pretty sure I will actually end up playing Dragon Quest 1 and 2 this year when they come out, or at least close enough to when they come out. But we'll see what happens. They're just more RPGs that are kind of on my list as far as they're on my RPG list. I have a physical list here in my desk drawer in a notebook. It's like all the RPGs I want to play, and they're not relative, but their time, like the time to beat, on how long to beat, and also like what platform I want to play them on, and just a lot of different information. I have a lot of RPGs written on there, and so Dragon Quest, those games are one of them. So there's Dragon Quest 1 and 2, that's coming out sometime this year, and then there's also Dragon Quest 3, which came out last year. I want to say it was in like September or October. Which I found it weird then too, because I heard about Dragon Quest 3 and I was like, that's pretty cool. But then it was like the third one. I was like, well, maybe they'll like, well, okay. I didn't think they were gonna remaster 1 and 2, but when I heard that 3 had been remastered, I was like, well, that's kind of weird. I guess I have to find a way to play 1 and 2, or I just wait and then years from now I jump in on 3. But it worked out because now they've announced Dragon Quest 1 and 2, so I'll play those and then I'll play Dragon Quest 3. But I do find it weird still that they originally remastered Dragon Quest 3 and then they went back and remastered Dragon Quest 1 and 2. You would have thought if they were going to remaster both of those that they would start with 1 and 2 and then do 3. But I don't know. I mean, whatevs. I'm not working at Square Enix. Maybe it's one of those things where they put out Dragon Quest 3, and they wanted to gauge reception because it was going to be really easy to remake the other two. I don't know. I mean, who knows really? I don't even know what the reasoning is. Maybe Dragon Quest 3 they figured would do better because it's more well loved, and that is likely true to be honest. So I mean, I'm sure there might be multiple reasons for it, but it did seem just a little bit strange to me as somebody who really doesn't know much about Dragon Quest and also doesn't work at Square Enix. So I mean, I'm not really a good authority on this, but it did seem weird. I also heard that Star Wars Outlaws, the Gold Edition, which I believe is the most expensive edition, is going to be just $60 on Switch 2. That was a pretty big. I'm reading this on GameSpot, not GameStop, but I heard this elsewhere too on some other podcasts. People were talking about that because I guess that's some pretty big news. I mean, that is kind of crazy to think. I mean, I don't know if this is like confirmed or how exactly this information came about. But I do find it. Oh, I guess it's actually just listed online. Okay, that's fair. But yeah, I do find it crazy that that's the case because I don't know. I just would have I just would have expected that. I mean, I know it's Ubisoft and stuff. See, honestly, what I would have expected is the game was going to come out on Switch 2 because that was confirmed, right? But then it was going to be like discounted immediately. Like it was going to come out at $80 or 70 or something, and then it was going to immediately be discounted way down to like 30 or 40. Because that's with Ubisoft games, they come out and then like 2 hours later they're half price. No, I'm kidding, not 2 hours, but like within months or even weeks sometimes. I mean, like Prince of Persia: The Last Crown, just a few months after release, I saw it for like $20, which is a third of the price. I mean, they marked it down to a third. There's like 66% off after just 2 months. And then after that, I couldn't find it on the store shelves anywhere. Probably because everybody bought it because the game was like a third of the price. So I don't know. I'm also looking at this here, and I'm guessing this is all actually true. But Mario Kart World, of course, we know that that's $80. I know that's quite controversial, but it is what it is. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition, $70. That's also very controversial. I don't know, man. I can almost agree with people on this one to a point. I think they could bump it down to 60. I think they could bump it down to 60. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say that that's still too expensive. That may be true, but I think they could bump Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition to 60 and then just make it $50 on the Switch 1 store. And then Tears of the Kingdom is 80. Again, I think they can make it 70. But I mean, I don't think it's that bad. At the end of the day, there's not really a ton of people that are going to end up buying this, the Switch 2 edition of it. I mean, they might buy an upgrade pack, but honestly, I don't even think anybody's going to buy the upgrade pack because it's going to be included with Switch Online. So, I mean, honestly, very few people, I'm sure, will actually purchase this. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it should be this way. I mean, I don't know. It's questionable. Bravely Default, the Flying Fairy HD remaster. When I saw this announced in the Switch 2 Direct, it kind of went on my radar because again, I've been trying to get into turn-based RPGs. I'm becoming a bit of a fan, and so this was one that I had kind of thought about playing at one point, but it was on 3DS, and I just don't really love playing things on 3DS. And so when I saw it being remastered on Switch 2, I'm like, that's pretty cool. And it was coming out on launch as well. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Now, of course, I'm sure there will be things to play at launch. Obviously, Mario Kart World, right? Donkey Kong Bonanza, not that long after. So I wasn't too concerned about it, but I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll end up picking this up at some point if if it's cheaper or something physically. Of course, if it goes on sale digitally, I don't care. But if it's physically cheaper, then I might get it. But then I just noticed just now reading this, apparently this is only going to be $40 on launch. So like, I don't know, man, $40 for a 2D RPG that I want to play, um, coming out on launch of a console, and I can get another physical game. I mean, that's like not a bad deal. I'm kind of thinking about that. I might end up buying this Bravely Default HD 2D remaster, or HD remaster, not HD 2D, because it's a 3D game. So. And also Cyberpunk 2027 or 2027, 2077, $70. I don't really know. I haven't heard anybody complaining about that. I don't know. Maybe they still think it's overpriced. Could be. Hitman World of Assassination, the Signature Edition. I saw Hitman, and I really don't know hardly anything about Hitman, to be honest. But I did see Hitman, and I was like, that actually looks pretty good. I don't think I'm gonna play it, but it does look pretty good. And then like Puyo Puyo Tetris is $40. Rune Factory. I don't really know much about Rune Factory either. That's only 70. Here's another one that actually kind of interests me. Sonic X Shadow Generations. So Sonic X Shadow Generations, when it came out on Switch, or maybe not immediately when it came out, but like pretty soon thereafter, I kind of gained some interest in it. And personally, I'm not a Sonic guy. I've played a few Sonic games, or tried to play a few Sonic games, never beat any, and I really didn't like them. But from what I heard of Sonic and Shadow Generations, it seemed like one that I might actually have a little bit more interest in. So I was kind of interested in trying it. But it was on Switch. It was like 70, not 70, I think it was 60. Maybe it was 70. I don't know. It was expensive. And I was like, well, surely the Switch version was probably not the best. And then I was thinking about buying it on PS5, and I was like, well, maybe if I find it cheaper at some point. But then when I heard, because I actually had heard this before, Sonic X Shadow Generations is only going to be $50. So I'm like, okay, $50, like that's not bad, you know. So here we are. Mario Kart World, $80, right? I might end up buying Bravely Default for 40. I might end up buying Sonic X Shadow for 50. Street Fighter 6, $60. I don't really care about Street Fighter 6. Yakuza 0 is kind of an interesting one. I have Yakuza 0 on PS4. I actually just bought it in December. So I don't really love the idea of going and buying the game again for more money. But at the same time, I expected it to be 70 and it's only 50. So like that's not so terrible. I mean, like I could almost deal with that, you know. I don't know. I'm mixed on it. And at the same time, I'm sure Yakuza 0 will be much better with this director's cut, but I don't know how much better. Like, is it going to be like night and day, or is it just going to be like some minor improvements and stuff? If it's minor improvements, I'll probably just play my PS4 version and be happy with it. Although, if it's minor improvements and I play the PS4 version, I'm probably going to wait before I play Kiwami, because my assumption is that they'll probably put out Kiwami on Switch too. So I'll probably just wait if that's what happens. But if I find out that this director's cut is much, much better than the PS4 version, then I might actually just go ahead and buy the game a second time to play it on Switch too. So I'm kind of thinking about it. We'll see what happens. So that's kind of on my radar. Split Fiction is another game. Split Fiction, one of those, Joseph Harris, I think is the guy, right? Joseph Harris? Yeah, he made, like, It Takes Two, right? I think most people probably know this guy at this point. He made It Takes Two, we made games like that. I guess the thing is, although it's a 3D platformer, not a ton of 3D platformers come out at this point, these days. I will say though, 3D platformers, they're looking a little bit better these days. I mean, we had Super Mario Odyssey, which I know that was like 8 years ago, but it's still, modern times, right? Recent enough. And then also just last year we had Astrobot, and Astrobot won Game of the Year. So I think that kind of signals to me that 3D platformers are kind of coming back. And we also have Donkey Kong Bonanza as one of the big early games on Switch too. So I think 3D platformers are kind of seeing a resurgence again, which is great because 3D platformers are one of my favorite genres. And Split Fiction, of course, right? Split Fiction being another 3D platformer, I kind of have some interest in it. The problem is it's a co-op game. I don't really play co-op games. I don't have anybody to play co-op games with. So I'm not really super interested in that just because it's co-op. So that's kind of where I'm at in Split Fiction. We have Civ 7 here. So Civ 7, I I like Civilization. My dad loves Civilization. Huge fan. Um, I like Civilization. The thing is with Civilization, I could get it on PC, but I think something interesting about Civilization is going to be the mouse controls with the Switch 2. I feel like Civilization 7, Switch 2 could end up being like the definitive place, or at least, I mean, obviously PC is still going to be definitive, right? But Switch 2 is probably going to be the second best place to play it because of the mouse controls. Now, again, never held a Switch 2, never used a Switch 2, I don't know. So maybe the mouse controls aren't quite what they're cracked up to be. But I really hope that since they're pushing it so heavy that they're actually good. I mean, that's my assumption. I guess I can't know for sure, but my assumption is that they're actually going to be good. Um, and in that instance, I think Civilization 7 might actually be like amazing on Switch 2. Like I'm actually very excited about it. So even though it's $70, I might end up buying that at some point on Switch 2, with the mouse controls and just seeing how it holds up. We'll see what happens. I might not run out and grab it immediately because I don't really play a ton of Civilization, but we'll see what happens. Of course, there's Donkey Kong Bonanza. That's $70. I'm definitely gonna buy that. Absolutely no question. Probably on launch too. Before I buy these other games, this is assuming I get a Switch 2 close to launch. But assuming I buy these other games, I'm gonna keep $70 on hand for Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'm not gonna let myself go under that because I need Donkey Kong Bonanza as soon as possible. So I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll suck. I don't think it'll suck, but maybe it'll be worse than I think. And if that's the case, then oh well. But at least I got to try it because that's personally the game I'm most excited about. So that's Donkey Kong Bonanza. Next game on here, Raidu Remastered, is only $50. I've actually been thinking a little bit about Raidu Remastered. Raidu is an Atlus game. I get at Atlus, there's a lot of different games being made. I guess Raidu was on the PS2 originally. I don't think it has anything too much to do with Persona or SMT. I don't think the combat's too similar, but I've still definitely thought about playing Raidu, mostly just because it is by the Atlus team, by Atlus, but by the Persona people, right? I've kind of thought about it for that reason. So I'm probably gonna wait, see what people say about it when it comes out, and if people really love it, then maybe I will play it. We'll see. Also, Super Mario Party Jamboree and Jamboree TV. This is the Switch 2 edition, $80. Of course, you could also get the upgrade for Jamboree 1 on Jamboree on Switch. I'm definitely not going to buy this standalone. Just like I won't buy Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, because I have the game on Switch 1. And even if I didn't have the game on Switch 1, this might be an instance where I would just buy the Switch 1 version instead, even after Switch 2 launches. Because $80 for Mario Party? Like, I don't know, man. But it's okay, because you can, do Jamboree TV with Bowser. Like, I'm like, oh, man, that's what I've been wanting to do my whole life. So, I don't know. But anyways, Jamboree doesn't, I mean, really, Jamboree for $80? I don't know. I mean, I get that there's some stuff with the mouse controls, and I'm sure the mouse controls will be kind of neat. And if I played Mario Party a lot, then I probably would just go buy that upgrade pack so I could play Jamboree with mouse controls. Because I really don't play Mario Party a lot. I've played like about an hour of Jamboree, maybe 2 hours. We'll call it 2 hours. Because I've played so little, I really don't have much interest in this. So I definitely will not play that. Play that? Definitely will not play that. We also have No Sleep for Kaname Date from AI The Somnian Files. I have not played AI The Somnian Files or any of the other related games, and I don't know if I ever will, so I'm personally not going to weigh in on this, but this is another game that's $50. Madden NFL 26, absolutely no shot on playing that, but it's 70. Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, again, not going to play that, but it's 60. Kirby and the Forgotten Land and Star-Crossed World, the Switch 2 edition, again, $80. Some of these Switch 2 editions being 80, I don't feel quite so good about it. What's interesting to me is that they recognize that The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is an old game, and so the Switch 2 edition is only $70, right? But then for Tears of the Kingdom, they're like, oh yeah, that game's sparkling new. It's going to be $80, right? For, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Kirby and the Forgotten Land should be also like cheaper because that game is getting pretty old. That game came out like 2022. I mean, it's not like an old game. Neither is Breath of the Wild, but it's not recent either. It's a few years ago. It's not like brand new. Even Tears of the Kingdom is not brand new by any means. It's actually almost exactly 2 years old. I don't know exactly when it came out, but I feel like it's almost exactly 2 years old because I know it came out in May. I'm actually checking on that because I'm curious. May 12th. Okay, so I'm recording this on the 13th. So it's exactly 2 years and 1 day old when I'm recording this. So I was actually almost exactly spot on. But yeah, so you see what I'm saying. So, even that game isn't, sparkling new, So I almost feel like maybe these should all be 70. But if they are going to be variable, then I feel like Kirby and Mario Party Jamboree should be there with Breath of the Wild and not there with Tears of the Kingdom. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. Kirby in the Forgotten Land, I have thought about playing it on Switch 1. I've actually a few times been thinking about playing it for Switch 1, and personally now, I don't really know exactly what I'm going to do. Maybe I will just end up buying the Switch 2 version of this at some point. But I don't know. I'm skeptical. $80 for Kirby, I don't really love paying $80 for Kirby. I had a thing last year. I played through a bunch of the old Kirby games between, March and May, right? So I played through Kirby's Adventure, all three Kirby Dream Lands, and Kirby Superstar, right? Played through all those games. I was like, these were great, right? Actually, Superstar, I didn't really love Kirby Superstar. And I didn't really love Kirby's Dream Land 1. Dreamland 2 was pretty good. Dreamland 3 was great. And then Kirby's Adventure is honestly a top 20 game for me probably. I don't know, maybe not quite. Maybe. I don't know. I'm skeptical. But it's one of the best games, one of the best 2D platformers for sure, right? And there's a lot of 2D platformers that I love, so that's high praise. So I definitely loved a lot of those old Kirby games. But then I thought about it later because I was like, maybe I want to go play some of the newer Kirby games. And then I thought about it. I was like, do I really want to buy Kirby games though? I mean, as fun as some of them may be, it just almost doesn't feel quite as inherently valuable as other Nintendo games. And I don't know, maybe I'm missing something here, but I just don't really love the idea of paying at least full price for a Kirby game. So I don't know. That's kind of why I haven't played any of the new Kirby games. I'm sure I will at some point. Now that I have the Nintendo 64 and Nintendo Game Boy Advance Switch Online, I played Kirby 64: The Crystal Shards. I talked about that earlier this year. And I started playing not Canvas Curse, Amazing Mirror. That's what it's called, the Game Boy Advance one. I started playing that, kind of got away from it. It was a little weird. I probably will go back to it though. So I mean, I kind of slowly working on the Kirby games, but we'll see what happens on that. There were no 2D Kirby's on 64, so not on 64, sorry, on GameCube. So GameCube Switch Online won't get any of that, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then the last one on here, Daemon X Machina, Titanic Skyon. That's also 70, and I really don't have any interest in that. So I figured I'd read out these prices here because I think it's personally really interesting. As we're looking at prices here, because I know everybody's complaining about prices for Switch 2. Personally, Mario Kart World for 80, I don't think it's quite as egregious as many people suggest. And I've talked about that a lot before. I'm not going to get into the whole debate once again. I don't think it's quite as egregious as some people suggest. Breath of the Wild for 70, honestly, I don't even think it's that bad. I think Breath of the Wild for 70 is acceptable. Tears of the Kingdom for 80, we're kind of pushing it. I think that one is a little bit much. Tears of the Kingdom for 80. But it's also Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, maybe they could get away with it. But Jamboree for 80? Absolutely not. Jamboree should be 70 or even 60. And then same thing, Kirby in the Forgotten Land, absolutely not 80. I think 70, 60, even 50, honestly. I mean, it just depends on the game here, but I don't think all of these are worth that. As far as other Nintendo stuff, Donkey Kong Bonanza at 70 sounds good to me. Even if it was 80, I think it would be kind of reasonable. I mean, 70 definitely is a better price point, but I don't even think it would be that bad if it was. So Nintendo, I think, is doing okay. As far as Nintendo's price point so far this generation, obviously I say so far like we haven't even started yet, but you get what I'm saying. Leading into this generation, I think Nintendo's price points are actually pretty reasonable. And I've talked about this a lot ad nauseum. I think the console's well priced as well. I think it's pretty reasonable. The one thing that I could question maybe a little bit is that these Switch 2 editions are all $20. And I guess it makes sense because digitally, right? A lot of people are going to end up buying the upgrade packs digitally, and I may even do so. I don't know. We'll see. And so when they're digital like that, you kind of want them all the same. And maybe you even want them all the same when they're physical. But you get what I'm saying. You would kind of want some sort of you'd want it to be a little bit systematic, right? In multiple different ways. So you'd want them to all be roughly the same price or roughly, similar. And so it kind of makes sense that most of these Switch 2 upgrade packs would be $80. But I think personally, if they've all got to be the same price point, then make them 70. And if one of them's got to be more, like Tears of the Kingdom, make it 80, okay, that's acceptable, right? But not everything can be 80, with the exception being 70. I think it has to be rotated. I think everything can be 70, with the exception being 80. I don't think everything can be 80, with the exception being 70. The good news is, I probably won't really buy these upgrade packs, so I personally won't have to deal with it, but I could see that being a bit of a problem for some people. So, Nintendo, I think they're doing alright. I do think that the upgrade packs are a little bit out there, but their actual pricing for the new games makes sense. And as far as the third party stuff, I'm honestly like pleasantly surprised about these price points. I mean, we got Outlaws out here for 60. We've got, some remakes as low as 40. I mean, it's insane. We weren't getting very many $40 games this generation on Switch, and here we are on Switch 2, where a flagship Nintendo game is $20 more, and some of the remasters are still the same price, or even cheaper than some of the other remasters. We've got $40 games here. We got $50 games here. We've still got $60 games here. Of course, there are a few $70 games here, but all those $70 games are $70 on PS5 and on Xbox as well. In fact, they're actually going up to 80 on Xbox here soon. So I think the whole third party price point is also good on Switch 2. So these prices, I'm like pleasantly surprised with the prices on Switch 2. Now, look, I know that there were some increases on the peripherals and on the like accessories and stuff. Those were increased, and some of those things are a little bit crazy. You've got the Joy-Cons for $95. You've got the Pro Controller for $85. You've got a freaking micro SD card for 60. I mean, some of these things are a little crazy, right? I mean, we can all agree. Even the freaking AC adapter is $35. I mean, like, what's in this AC adapter? Gold? I mean, actually, probably there might be, but you get what I'm saying. Like, was it made out of diamond? I mean, it's crazy. So, I can kind of understand some complaints with those, but here's the thing. I go online, I hear all these complaints about Nintendo's pricing, and it's never about the accessories. It's always about the console or about the games. And I think they're pretty good on the games. I think the price points are pretty reasonable for the most part. Especially with like the Mario Kart World and Bonanza and stuff. I almost kind of understand the complaints about Breath of the Wild, but here's the thing: Breath of the Wild is the cheaper one. So if we're going to complain about the Switch 2 edition games, complain about Tears and complain about Jamboree and complain about Kirby. Complain about those games instead because those are more expensive. I just don't understand sometimes. The things people complain about makes no sense. Like, I mean, I get it. Breath of the Wild, maybe it could be 60. Some people are arguing it could be 50. I don't know, maybe, right? But it's still the cheapest of the Switch 2 edition games. So complain about the ones that are more expensive. That makes more sense. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy here. Who knows? But I do find it a little bit strange that people are complaining at all, and also that people are complaining about the ones they're complaining about specifically. So I don't know. I guess I just wanted to weigh in a little bit on some of the price points for some of these games on Switch 2 and kind of give some insight on what I might end up buying and what I might not end up buying. Um, we'll see. I don't know, but it's just definitely like I don't know. I really am pleasantly surprised about some of these price points, especially for the third party games. I also read this article this morning. Krispy Kreme announced Pac-Man donuts. If, if anybody wants to go get a Pac-Man donut, you can go to Krispy Kreme. Apparently, I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. Uh, I also heard Pal World, which is not a name that I've heard, or is a name that I haven't heard for quite a while. I did not realize Pal World was still relevant in any way. But Pal World is doing a crossover with Terraria, which personally I didn't realize you could even have such a thing in Pal World. Any sort of crossovers, I don't really know how that's gonna work. I haven't played Pal World myself. I don't really care to either, but I did think it was kind of interesting that we have these two games of all the games in the world to be having a crossover. Pal World and Terraria are not the two I would expect, but I just thought that was kind of interesting. I didn't actually really read the article or really look into it at all, but I did think it was kind of interesting. I can't I can't say it's not interesting. Oh, also, I haven't really talked much about Nintendo Today on the channel. But Nintendo Today, for those who don't know, is the app that Nintendo announced back in that March 27th Direct for Switch One. It was the last Switch One Direct, and it happened like a week before before the Switch Two presentation. The Nintendo Today app, I think this was a few days ago now. They had a video of the mouse controls on the home screen. So they were just on the home screen, and they were just showing you that you could use the mouse to go navigate around the home screen. And I mean, honestly, it wasn't anything too crazy. I have heard a lot of people talking about it. Mostly, I think the biggest thing that to take out of this was that when you're sliding the mouse on the table or whatever you're sliding it on, I don't know, you slide in the air, who cares, right? When you slide it around, you can hit the R button and it can act as like an A button, at least on the home menu. I don't know if that's going to be the case in games. I did hear a while back that some of the people that got to play Metroid Prime 4 at the Nintendo, whatever they're calling them, like the first look things, like you go to a city and you play games before they're out, whatever those are called. I don't care what they're called, whatever, it doesn't matter. But those things, Nintendo Experience, Nintendo Switch 2 Experience, at some of those events, people that got to play Metroid Prime 4 were complaining that when you were using the mouse controls on, I think it was the right Joy-Con, you had to kind of use some of the buttons on the side of the controller to like do things like, move, like jump or attack or some of those odd things that you do in Metroid Prime. And so I guess that could be a little bit cumbersome if you're there holding the mouse, but you also still have to get to all four buttons on the left side. So for at least for the menus and stuff, for them to have substituted in the R button as an A button, I think that actually makes a lot of sense, and that's pretty cool. And I don't know. I just personally I thought that was very interesting. I don't really think it's gonna make any crazy difference. It's not gonna be anything to get used to or anything, but it's definitely neat. I can't say it's not neat. Also, I might have talked about this last week, but there was that Doom the Dark Ages controller. It's that green with the blood on it. That thing is awesome. I, I don't really have much more to say about that, but that thing is fantastic. Also, I did talk about last time how GTA 6 had been delayed until next May instead of this May, and that's obviously still true and stuff. But I did think it was kind of interesting how they announced that had been delayed, and then 2 days later, or like a day later, they dropped a trailer for it, and they're like, "I know it's delayed, but guess what? Here's a trailer. Does this help? Does this make anybody feel better?" I did find it kind of funny how they presented that. And of course, a lot of people are talking about the trailer. Again, I personally don't care about GTA. I'm probably never going to play GTA. But I did think it was kind of interesting how they did that. Where they dropped the trailer after just delaying the game. I guess try to lighten the impact a little bit of the delay, but I don't think it really helps. Well, actually, I don't know. I say that, but at the same time, I feel like after that trailer dropped, I've been hearing more about things that happened in the trailer than I have been about the fact that it's delayed. And before the trailer, all I could hear about was how it had been delayed, and so maybe it did actually help kind of curve the perspective. As they're like, well, yeah, it is delayed, but hey, look, it looks good, right? So I don't know. I think it actually it works out pretty well. I guess I can talk about real quick as well. I've been doing that Super Mario RPG Let's Play. I know I was talking about that at the start of the episode, but I've got to say I originally got that Super Mario RPG port to Switch, which came out in 2023. I want to say it was November 11th, November 17th. Okay, I was close. November. But anyways, it came out in November 2023. I got it then. It's a remake. It's by Art Piazza or Arte. I don't know. Arte. I don't know how you would say that. Art Piazza is how I would say it, but I don't know if I'm right. They also made the Yoshi's Island DS back on DS, and I know everybody hates that game. I haven't played it personally. I have it, but I haven't played it. And I believe everybody. I'm sure it probably is garbage, to be honest. But all right, unless I'm getting the wrong studio here, but I'm pretty sure those are the same guys. And then I believe it's the same people that also worked on mobile games and stuff, like Dr. Mario World and Mario Kart Tour and that kind of stuff. I don't think they were like the main team behind any of that stuff, but they were like a support studio. And I've got to say, going back to that game, it does look really good. Like I don't think I fully appreciated the remake of Mario RPG when I played it back in 2023. It looks good. It runs smoothly. The cutscenes are cool. I guess there's a few awkward things with not having voice acting. I'm not saying they have to have voice acting, but in those cutscenes in Super Mario RPG, where the characters are like running around and stuff, and there's subtitles. There you can see the subtitles on the bottom of the screen, and their mouths move, but there's no sound. There's not even like grunts or like like nothing like that. Nothing, like absolutely nothing. Just like there's music playing, and it's actually what's even more awkward about it. It's the same music that plays in that area when you're just walking around normally. So it's like a cutscene starts, but the same music's playing. It's a moving image with moving mouths and subtitles, but the music doesn't quiet down. There's no sound effects. There's no nothing. It's just literally but there's no voice acting. Like it's very awkward in a few different areas. I do remember though when that remake first came out in 2023, it was very glitchy. There were glitches everywhere regarding the cutscenes. Every time a cutscene would come up, it would I want to say very glitchy. The cutscenes were very glitchy. The actual game was totally fine, but the cutscenes kind of stuttered and buffered and stuff. And that's all been fixed. I'm sure that was fixed years ago, but I just kind of wanted to say I haven't played it since November in 2023, and having come back to it, it definitely is a lot better than it's even better than I remembered it being in 2023, and I definitely remembered it as good back then. And if you want to see me playing that game, you can go watch that on the channel. Like I said, I mean, I was gonna say it's in the description, but like you're also probably watching it on the channel. But if you're watching this on Spotify, then yes, the YouTube channel is in the description, so you can go do that if you so desire. I'd recommend you do because I definitely would appreciate the viewership. So yes, go watch my Super Mario RPG Let's Play, and also stay tuned for some videos that I'm hoping to have working on. Well, I'm definitely gonna be working on them. I'm hoping to get some videos out in the next week. Um, Definitely more Mario RPG stuff, but also maybe some other stuff. So we'll see what happens. Join the Discord to get updates on that stuff. Or just, I don't know, subscribe and get the notifications, right? That works too, right? Or you can even do both, right? Even do both. Get notifications from subscribing, but also get the updates on the Discord. It works, right? Anyways, but yes, you can do all that lovely stuff, and you can email the show with any questions, any comments, any concerns, anything's, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Anything you want, I guess. No, well, maybe I shouldn't say that, but basically anything you want. And I guess with all that, 22 days until Switch 2. I'm very excited. Obviously, I'm very, very hyped. I'm probably going to try to come up with an actual topic for the show next week, unless I manage to beat some games. So I'm either going to beat a few games, or I'm actually just going to come up with a topic. So I'm not going to do more of this, like, not knowing what to say on the show. Well, actually, I might still, but I'm hoping to not have quite as much of it because I think it's kind of getting old. I think the show's getting a little boring when I have nothing to talk about. So I don't know. Anyways, I guess that's all I have to say. I'll be signing off now. 22 days until Switch 2. I will see you all next week when there will only be 15 days till Switch 2. And the next episode, there'll be 15 days. That's actually, like, that's kind of insane. 15 days until the 10th generation. But that's next week, so I'll see you then. Goodbye.